Hi everyone, this is Nadia, award-winning author, mentor, clairsentient psychic, and founder of the Spartanite. So first of all, please excuse my short sojourn from YouTube. I have had a lot going on at present in my personal and professional lives, and I've had to take some time out to really sit with you guys and shoot one of my favorite topics that was actually a request topic that somebody asked me. So they've recently left employment. And obviously branched out full-time as I would say a newbie entrepreneur. And the question was all about like haters and negative people and people that don't really support you and what to really do about them. So today's topic is basically how to deal with haters and be successful. So what's interesting about successful people is that successful people, it's not the fact that we don't have people that don't believe in us, or we don't have people that don't support us, or don't help us, or don't befriend us. In the run-up to financial success, and I want to give success as a very, not an arbitrary term, but like an end goal, money. So a lot of people in spiritual circles try and say success is doing what you love, yes it is, but if you're broke with it, then you're not successful. It's as simple as that. And a lot of people try and hide that, way of looking at things because money is this thing we don't talk about. Well, being an occult wealth mentor, money is my thing, and I like talking about it a lot and often, as you know, if you're subscribed to this channel. If you're not, subscribe right now. So what's important, I find that a lot of people they have a certain destination that they want to reach. Maybe it's you watching this video, it could be somebody you know in your family, your friends. And what essentially ends up happening is that you have barriers in your journey, especially your entrepreneurial journey, where you hit that roadblock and then most people just fall back. You hit the roadblock, it's like a wall, they fall back. And I think that's normal for, even myself, I went through that, and it's normal for a lot of people. And why is it normal for a lot of people? It's normal because that's the path to success. Lots of people think, there's this meme that's been going on for years, a lot of people think the path to success is just going up one straight line, and no, it's not really. It's a funny looking squiggly line if you even get to that destination. So what's the point of haters? I was watching something on, I'd say Instagram today, and there's this woman who she'd put up a hashtag, I don't know where she's from, I think she's somewhere in Australia, but I don't know specifically the city. And she'd written about the fact that she's a self-made millionaire, or whatever the cringe-worthy term that people feel they need to broadcast into the world to give them some sort of merit or value. Now, if you've made well over 7 figures, that is quite an achievement in this world. That's well done, you should be celebrated. But the way it was written, it was very much in look at me, look how great I am. And that's the first impression I got when I looked at this individual's Instagram profile. So I decided to go down a little bit more. And there was one where she had written, oh, people used to think I was a stupid little girl who wouldn't amount to anything, but look at me now. Please don't become bitter and resentful. Look, this woman's probably made millions, but she's still so bitter and resentful about what people said to her. Years ago, even before I set up everything for Spartanite, I had just written the 21st Century Spartanite, which is available on Amazon and our website as well. I'll throw in the link below. I lost my first business. I lost a lot that happened to me, not sadly through my own fault in many areas, but I had to treat it as though it was my own fault and had to pick up responsibility for it. And in that, I had to let go of victimhood and victim consciousness and really embrace myself in it. And one of the most important things I learned is that on the journey to success, you're always going to have somebody. If you've never even had one person say to you, you can't do that, you're not dreaming big enough. Your goals are not big enough in the world. There's a serious issue that maybe your goals are here, and there's always a saying I say that if people are not laughing at your goals, you need to get bigger ones, basically. So this woman continued, and it was a very bitter post, so I say that, look, people thought I couldn't make it, or whatever it is. People are always going to think you can't make it. I used to have many people say that to me. They used to say, oh, you can't afford this, or you can't do that, or you can't afford to do this, and you lost a business, and it's just best if you get a job. And I used to hear things in my ear all the time from people that, when I look at them today, they're going nowhere in life. And I have the moral jurisdiction and the authority to actually say that, because when somebody looks at my life, I have actually achieved something and I'm quite proud of it. This is not me sitting in front of a camera trying to shoot for millions of people on YouTube saying, oh, well, I'm better than you because I've achieved X amount of financial success or personal success. No. But to achieve personal and financial success, there has to be elements of spiritual, both spiritual and personal development, that most people seem to leave out. So from, I guess, a spiritual perspective, what is the value or what is the reason or the cause for people who are negative or they're naysayers or they're haters or whatever you want to call them, whatever terminology that is, I suppose, easier for you to understand? You have to remember that we live in a society, and from a very young age, I like how the only time people have heard of the word algorithm is through things like Instagram, Facebook. Algorithms are basically a pattern, and a pattern of how your mind works, and a pattern of what you respond to and not respond to, which is why you obviously had psychology tests based on Milgram in the 1950s with obedience. How obedient are you to authority? How rebellious are you? Different things. And it's almost like you can chart and you can track a lot of things. Most people are very, very predictable. Most people would like to consider themselves an enigma, but they're not. They're very predictable. You just have to watch their patterns carefully. With that said, from a very young age, we are trained to be programmed, or we are trained to be predictable for other people. And of course, other people predictable for us. Now, if we are not predictable for somebody else, we then become a problem. Our family doesn't like us, our old friends don't like us, we have to find new ones. There now becomes a problem because what was expected of you, you're not moving in that. You're a pattern interrupt. If someone thinks you're always going to go left, you're going right. Someone thinks you're going top, you're going bottom, so on and so forth. There is a maddening aspect to it as well. If someone's so unreliable, unpredictability is good to a degree, and then after that it becomes stalemate. And spontaneity is also good to a degree, and then after that it just becomes unreliable and you don't want to mess with that person anymore. So going back to what I was saying, as you know, watching this and generally in society, people are trained to live for other people. They're trained to give away their power for other people. So most people don't live for themselves. Most people have no interest to live for themselves because they're constantly trained through the solar plexus chakra to give all that power away, which is why people come out with statements like, oh, I gave him everything and blah, blah. It's just, why do you give yourself away? There needs to be a certain percentage you need to hold for yourself. That is you, and nobody gets that. Not your partner, not your kids, not your parents, nobody, just you. Otherwise, you end up with soul fragmentation and lots of things, basically. Okay. So with that said, when you branch out, when, say, for instance, there's an enclave and you start to branch out of it, you're not predictable for people anymore. And when you're not predictable for people anymore, it annoys them. People want you to be like furniture. They want you to be predictable like a dining table chair or a sofa or a table. It's always there. You just kind of, it blends into the back. Except one day they come and you're not there anymore. They can't access you. You won't answer their phone because you won't put up with the person that you were years ago, and that person used to be in alignment with who they were. Hence, if you go back in time, you won't put up with yourself either, and you won't like yourself either. So, haters are very interesting. I don't particularly think that anybody has haters per se. I think it's more to do with the fact that a lot of people have given up on ever being successful in their life, and it is simply much easier to go around hating people who have not achieved what you think, basically, that you should have done. You know, say for instance, there's somebody and you have two friends, and one person went on to do this and one person went on to do this. So one person, I guess, went on to start their own company, one person went on maybe to do something else. Maybe they started another company too. But one person had ridiculous more amounts of personal success, they had financial success, and the other person's kind of like, hey, what happened, man? I thought we were in this together. Don't get to that point where you have to sacrifice who you are to appease somebody else. That's just not healthy, because that person feels like, oh, well, my friend should be at my level because it makes me feel comfortable. If you're around people and you don't feel inspired, you don't have a circle of friends, you just have a cage. That's what I usually say. And it's a harsh truth, and a lot of truth that people don't want to admit and they don't want to hear, because two things, honesty and humility, are very, very difficult to be able to accept within ourselves and also push forward with. So when someone tells, say for instance, somebody comes to me and says, Nadia, you can't do that. You know what they're actually trying to say is they cannot do that. So they now have to impose that on me and say, Nadia, you cannot do that. But how do they know my capacity? You see, if you start living your life based on other people's limiting beliefs, you won't have much of a life to begin with. And that is most people. They're held back by their family members because they're so desperate for approval. They're so desperate to compete with other people. They're desperate to compete with school friends or whatever it is. If people are not working out for you, just please let them go. I've had to let people go. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean they were bad people. People have had to let me go. It doesn't mean I was a bad person. It doesn't mean they were bad. We're just not in alignment with paths. And you can't be bitter and angry how I read that post. The job for a lot of people is to hold you back. Success is always sweeter when you have to struggle a little bit for it, and maybe a lot. You know, success is something, it won't open its doors to you and you can't cheat and go through it. There's no shortcuts. You can't buy something and think, oh, you know what, I'll just kind of cheat doing the work. That's not how success works. Success generally on a very financial level is lots of hard work, lots of persistence, lots of dedication, which is something that most people simply don't want to commit to. Most people are angry, especially people that work jobs like, oh, I work 5-6 days a week, I only get 1 day off, and they're very cagey about their time. But they're not cagey about the time that they prostitute or give to somebody else. That's what I usually say. And a lot of people disagree with me, but interestingly enough, how do you pursue a dream when you look at other people but they're not really doing what is expected of you? Now, I remember watching this documentary not too long ago, and there was a guy in, I can't remember if it was Colombia or Venezuela. It was one of the two. It was quite a long time ago. The documentary was filmed many, many years ago, not in real time. And there was a guy who came from an extremely poor family, and he always had big dreams. He always said to me, he always said to people and his family, and I want to own a mansion, I want to own this, and they just used to laugh. They used to say to him, you're poor, you'll always remain poor. That's haters, because they say, how dare you be bigger than us or leave us behind, because most people that come from poor families, if someone's successful, that person to a degree will never be able to get onto their family as much as they would want to, which is why lots of people hold themselves back to have the same people in their life, because it's predictable and it's comfortable, which goes back to the algorithm thing I'm talking about. So this guy did not know what to do. He wanted to make money. He was just like, I've never really seen much money in my life, and I just don't know what to do. So he spoke to somebody that he went to school with, and the guy was like, hey, you know what, we don't live far from a Mariana where a lot of wealthy people come and dock their yachts. You know what, my brother actually, cleans, the yachts. He's a cleaner, and he, he folds beds and stuff like that. His wait staff, essentially. I'll get you a job there so you can be around these people, so you know what it's like. He was like, okay, that's a bit of an odd thing to do, but cool, all right, I'm with it. I can run with it. So he obviously started off with minimum wage, but he was grateful that he got a job. And, he started cleaning. I don't want to say cleaning after wealthy people, but that's exactly what it was. It's not particularly, a lot of people would think it's a degrading thing to do, but what he was trying to do is get in the energy of people that were successful. People who are successful with money manage their time and their money and their resources very differently to most people who are not. So after a period of time, he befriends one of these wealthy guys. The wealthy guy's a really nice person, really grounded, down-to-earth person. And he talks to him and he says, I really want to be someone like you. I want to be successful. I want to help my village. The guy says, you know what, hey, I have a job. Come work for me. I'll teach you everything. So this guy was all over it. He just couldn't imagine. But the guy said, under one condition, it's not going to be paid. It's like, oh. Basically, he was asking to mentor him for free, essentially, but he was not really paying him. He said, you still get to keep the job on the yacht, but I will teach you what it is, but don't expect the fact that you're going to get payment for the work. So he used to take him as an assistant everywhere in the world. It wasn't paid. Slowly but surely, the guy started to understand what wealth consciousness looks like. And people who are haters, they just want to live in lack consciousness because they don't have much going for themselves. they have to remind themselves that nobody else can also live that life. Because going back to the axiom that I'm speaking about, if person X then sees person Y being successful, they then have to bring up, I guess, a limiting belief in their head that all rich people are thieves, all rich people will scam people, they con people, because if that person does not say that, then they have to accept that everything they've ever known about the wealthy is a lie. So instead of being upset about the fact that people are hating on you and people are throwing stones at you, so to speak, be encouraged. The more resistance you have, that means you're onto something bigger, okay? And you never have to worry about people that are not supporting you and they're not interested in your dreams. Most people don't have dreams of their own, so you can't be asking somebody who doesn't have dreams of their own to be able to, get on board with yours. That's just really not how it works. So hopefully that's kind of cleared up a lot when it comes to negativity and haters. And lots of people say to me, like, what do I do about negative people? I might just drown them out. Just don't give them airtime. That's it. If you got 3 negative friends, find 6 positive people, we'll just drown them out by default. Sorry, I don't have time for you. And that's the thing with negativity. You can't make time for it. You can't sit and listen to people's sob stories. No, there's a difference between what somebody's endured traumatically and what they've gone through, and I have full respect for that. And saying, I'm not going to let this hold me back. I choose not to have somebody's been assaulted, somebody has lost a family member. Some terrible things happen to people. Terrible things have happened to me. Terrible things have happened to people in my life that I know. But the most important thing is that you don't look at it as a barrier. You look at it as an opportunity. You look at it as an opportunity to be compassionate to other people. You look at it as an opportunity to be able to share your story, share your word, inspire more people, instead of thinking, woe is me, why did this happen to me? Because losers and haters and people who criticize you are never doing better than you. If you ever notice people that criticize you, they can never be doing better than you. So that should give you a very clear perspective on if there's any one of you that's starting a new business or starting a family or starting something and someone says you can't do it, you can't do it with them. So with that said, like, comment, share, subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments in the chat box below. And if you have any questions, you're more than free to visit our website. And yeah, we will be in touch with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day ahead. Take care.